Storytime on how I found my daughter without even looking for her.
When I was 15, I got pregnant by who I thought was the love of my life. But as soon as he found out that I was pregnant, he said he didn't want anything to do about it and that if I wanted, I could get an abortion. I'm not gonna lie, I was thinking about it. I decided to tell my mom. I was scared at first, but then I remembered my mom and I have a really good relationship. And she told me I had 3 options. I could have the baby, I could have an abortion, or I could have the baby and give it up for adoption. I decided to have the baby, which later on I found out it was a girl, and then give her up for adoption because I wasn't going to be able to give her the life that she deserved. And I said that maybe in the future, I would look for her, explain to her what happened, and tell her that I could be a part of her life if she wanted me to. Well, in 2015, I was able to open my own little coffee shop where I hired 3 employees. By that time, I was married and had 2 wonderful toddlers. Well, from the 3 employees that I hired, one of them was my daughter, but I didn't know it at the time. Running out of time, follow me for part 2. I found my daughter that I gave up for adoption without even looking for her. Well, since it was a small business with only 3 employees and me, I had a close relationship with employees. But I had a close relationship with, let's call her, Julia. The reason why we had such a close relationship was because she did share with me that she was adopted. And obviously I shared with her that I did give up a baby for adoption. And she never judged me. She always told me that she would do anything to find her biological mother. This girl was raised right. Well, I shared with her all the details on why I gave my baby up for adoption and that I would love to meet that baby one day. Well, behind my back, she decided to investigate. I don't know how, don't ask me. 3 months later, she came in with some paperwork, told me that she was my daughter, with tears in her eyes. And well, I obviously busted out crying as well. I asked her to forgive me and I told her why it all happened. She told me those weren't sad tears, they were tears of joy. Said she never hated me, and now we're in each other's lives. How crazy. Storytime on how I got revenge on my best friend for sleeping with my boyfriend. So back in June 2019, I was on Tinder, that's where I met my boyfriend. We hit it off right away. And obviously, I shared the details with my best friend. Or so I thought she was my best friend. Well, at that time, she was also on Tinder. My best friend is bi, by the way. Well, 3 months into my relationship, I started having a gut feeling about her. Let's call her Sarah. Every time my boyfriend came over, she started acting weird. And when I say weird, I mean she was acting all flirtatious with him. But again, I didn't think anything of it because she's my best friend. Well, one day I invited her for dinner. And I also invited my boyfriend. By the way, this dinner was at my house. And for that dinner, I wore a dress. Just because it was a special dinner for my friend and my boyfriend. And she wore a cocktail dress. Like a dress that you would wear to a casino. Here's a picture of the dress. Well, I pulled her aside, told her that her dress was extra. Follow me for part 2. Getting revenge on my best friend for sleeping with my boyfriend. Well, she said that I was crazy because that was just a normal dress. She told me not to be jealous because I was her best friend. I explained to her that I wasn't jealous, but that I've seen her actions in front of my boyfriend and they're very concerning. Well, whatever. We decided to have dinner, we had a good time. She left and my boyfriend stayed over. And I had to work. Well, he was gonna stay over and wait for me to get home from work. The next day, I head off to work. When I got back, I saw my best friend's car outside, ran inside to my apartment, found them hooking up, broke up with him, but here's the good part. I decided to get back at her. I opened up a Tinder as a girl looking for a serious relationship because I know that's what she wanted. I matched with her. We messaged for about 6 months. She was deeply in love with me. She was even talking about moving in together and she didn't even know me in person. We decided to schedule a date where we would move in together. She paid for a deposit and everything for the apartment. Well, that day came and well, obviously I never showed up. How embarrassing for her. Storytime on how I became the most hated person in my family. Because I found my dad sleeping with my aunt, and I was not going to stay silent. So my aunt, let's call her Jenny, lived at my house. She was the disappointment of the family, didn't have a job, had 2 kids, wasn't taking care of her kids. Just a total mess. My mom decided to take her in because she wanted to help and she wanted to get her life straight. At first my dad didn't like it, but he had to deal with it because my mom told him to. She always said family is family and you can't give family your back. Well, maybe she should have done that. Because one day that I was supposed to be picked up by my dad from school, well, apparently he forgot. And my best friend's mom had to drive me home. And I'm knocking and knocking on the door. No one answers the door, but I do see my dad's car outside. So I'm wondering what the hell is he doing? So I decided to call his phone and I hear it ringing, but he won't answer. Follow me and come back for part 2. Well, I ended up finding my dad in 4K with my aunt. I went through the back door because I remembered that my mom always left an extra key in the back door. They were doing the dirty on my mom's bed. The worst part is that my aunt was laughing, but my dad did feel bad. He did get up right away. I called my mom, told her what happened, and you guys know what she said? She said that I was making the whole thing up, that my dad would never do that, and that my aunt and him always hated each other, so she couldn't do that either. She came back home that day. My dad denied the whole thing, said that I was lying for attention, and that's why my whole family hates me now. They said that I tried to ruin my mom and her sister's relationship, and that they can't believe anything I say. And yes, my mom is still with my dad. I'm waiting till I have enough money to move out because I just can't believe my mom didn't even believe me.
Storytime on how my high school bully became my stepdaughter. A little backstory, let's call my bully Stephanie. Well, Stephanie loved to bully me in high school. There wasn't a reason other than she just did not like me. And I was very, very innocent, so I let her bully me. She even made up a rumor that I had an STD. That's how bad it was. Well, after high school, I decided to go to college for a year, but then I dropped out. I started working at a law firm, where I met my soon-to-be husband. And of course I didn't know it was her dad. I was working at the law firm only part-time, so I didn't spend much time with him, but we did fall in love really, really quick. We went out on dates first, and he did tell me he had a daughter, but he never showed me a picture of his daughter because he said he didn't have a good relationship with her. Well, for his birthday, we went out to dinner, and he did tell me that his daughter was going to be there. So I wanted to make a good first impression. Follow me for part 2. My high school bully became my stepdaughter. Well, we arrived at the restaurant, and she still wasn't there. We knew that she was going to come in a little later. Well, about 30 minutes later, I see Stephanie walking towards me, and I was so confused. I thought she was going to come and say hi to me. And when she saw me next to her father, shit went down. We were at a very fancy restaurant. Well, she asked her father, let's call him Ben, what is she doing here? And he told her to not disrespect me like that because I was his fiance. Mind you, I was laughing because this shit was hilarious. Well, before she stormed out of the restaurant, she told her dad to never talk to her again and said that she would never forgive him. Well, long story short, he did ask me why she said that because he was a little curious of why I was laughing. I explained to him that she was my bully in high school and that she terrorized me for 4 years. And our wedding is in July. Okay, story time and disclaimer, this is not my story. I'm reading it right off my email. This is a crazy one, guys. Story time. I'm sexually attracted to my sister. I'm gonna just read it raw for you guys. Okay, I'm sexually attracted to my sister and I don't know what to do. Let me just say, yes, we have the same mom and dad. She's older than me by 4 years. I started feeling this way after my dad left. So apparently her parents are divorced. I went through a lot because of my parents' divorce, and she, let's call her Olivia, was there for me every step of the way. A very long recovery. Let me explain. She slept in the same bed as me. She would feed me. Again, I was badly depressed. Well, she would cook for me and even had to bathe me once because I went a whole week without even changing my pajamas. Understandable when you're depressed. I'm running out of time. Follow me for part 2 because this story time is crazy. Again, this is not my story. I'm sexually attracted to my sister, part 2. This is not my story. This is a raw story time. I'm reading it right off my email. This part is just going to be really short. Okay, so the last part was I went a whole week without even changing my pajamas. Understandable because you're depressed. That's when it started. I feel the need to tell her, but I know it will ruin our relationship. Girl, this is very wrong, but my desire is very strong. I mean, that rhymed, girl. That rhymed, but sweetie, what are you doing? What are you doing, sister? Okay, what do you guys think? Like, I don't even know. I'm a loss for words.